Well, hey everybody, sorry, I had to take last week off. We got that nasty crud that it's been going around and everybody says don't get it because it's nasty, and it is. So let me catch you up, kind of what's been happening with us for the last 2 weeks. For those of you who don't know me, my name's Cece. My husband Kirk and I homestead in the big beautiful state of Montana. In February, we got hit with winter. It shows you guys previous snowfall, and then February 16th, it was a Sunday, they had predicted roughly around 8 inches of snow. We got probably close to 16. Probably 14 of those was just overnight, Sunday night into Monday. So Monday morning when I woke up, I looked out the window and I went, oh my word, I've never seen that much snow. And I've been living in Montana for, well, since 2003. So over 20 some years. That was the first I had seen that amount of snowfall. And it was just because it kept accumulating. We kept getting more snow. So I'll show you guys some of those pictures because, like I said, it was pretty wild. I was getting a little bit concerned about some of the shed roofs.
Look at my garden. Okay, now granted, this has probably drifted a little bit, but I mean, look at this. Like, so yeah, you can kind of see that there's like a drift right there. But this is insane. Okay, so there is woven wire and then 2 strands of barbed wire here. I don't think I've ever seen it come up over that barbed wire. I don't know if I've ever even seen it come up over the woven. I mean, you guys look at that. Like, look at that. I mean, hopefully it's really light and fluffy, or we're gonna have to try to figure out how to get some snow off the roof.
Greenhouse has collapsed in. We used cattle panel to create kind of a hoop, and those have come in. So I think later this afternoon I'm going to try to go out and go inside and just push it up and see if it's salvageable, or if we're going to need to rebuild one, kind of what that looks like. Later in the week, it started to warm up, so a lot of snow is starting to melt. We've been getting pretty nice warm temperatures. We're around the 40-50 mark right now. And I'll show you guys outside. This is kind of the not fun part about getting a lot of snow and then it gets warmed up. There's mud. There's an unreal amount of mud. We still have probably a foot of snow on the ground that is just kind of continuing to slowly melt. It freezes every night, which helps slow down the melt. The wind has been blowing more often than it's not, which kind of helps keep things a little bit more dried out. But we do need to keep an eye on our basement because we will get water in our basement every spring. And with this kind of melt off, I need to go check the basement. And so I'll just take you guys along, show you kind of what's been going on, and just kind of go from there. Okay, coming right out the back door. We normally park the car right there, but because it's getting so muddy, we decided to park it up closer to the barn. This gets to be pretty muddy almost every spring, but until all this snow melts out, there's not much we can do. And you can tell that it still freezes at night because then you get the ice. This is kind of the not pretty side of homesteading. Snow melt. It's pretty windy today, so hopefully you'll be able to hear me, but I am going to go take a peek at this greenhouse. Still a lot of snow in the front lawn. I mean, that propane tank was completely covered. It is still, it's still heavier than I thought. Looks like my garden gate's gonna need a little TLC. Still an awful lot of snow in my garden. This seems to be one of the last places that it melts out every year. I have high hopes for my garden this year. I do every spring, but we shall see. We shall see. Okay, so I ended up talking to Kirk a little bit more about our greenhouse situation, and he was not surprised at all that I couldn't push it back up, because he said, well, yeah, it's sprung. I was like, what does that mean? He's like, that means it won't bounce back up. And I'm like, even if all the snow completely melts off and you push it? And he said, yeah, no, like the cattle panel have basically been bent. And so we now need to decide what we're going to do about a greenhouse. We kind of have basically figured we have two options, because not having a greenhouse is not an option. Either rebuild one like we had, where we use cattle panel, and next time it snows really, really bad, we'll just keep after it a little bit better. Or we buy a greenhouse, whether that looks like a kit or whether that's something that's already been pre-built for us. I'm personally leaning a little bit more towards an actual house, greenhouse, instead of like a homemade hoop house style, just because then we're not gonna have to recover it every 2 years, and we probably don't have to worry about the snow caving it in again. And so we need to decide, are we going to do a kit, or are we gonna do a pre-made one and have it trailered in? The other option is we're looking at is, where do we wanna put it? The place where our current hoop greenhouse is late in the summer, when the sun starts to set kind of deeper or farther into the sky, however you want to call it, like the sun changes. It gets very shaded by about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And that is when I need my growing season to be extended, not shortened. So we are contemplating about moving it to a completely different place, but we need to make sure that we can still get water to it. We need to make sure that we have something strong enough to withstand very gusty winds, and something strong enough to handle the snow. So if anybody knows of fantastic greenhouses that you love, that you're happy with, like I said, we're open to a kit. I've been looking at some kits on like Home Depot. If there's ones that you know of to either completely avoid or ones that you really, really like, feel free to comment below, because we're kind of to the situation where we're gonna need to get something done here pretty soon, because I'm gonna wanna get some seeds started here very soon. And to be able to put them in a greenhouse would be really nice to have, hence why we want the greenhouse. So that's kind of where we're at. I wish that I would have gotten out there and got the snow off of it a lot sooner, as soon as I saw it, because it didn't actually cave in till after the snow started to melt a little and got heavy. But we were also starting to come down with our crud and not feeling good, and so it just didn't happen. It just didn't happen. So anyways, I know this wasn't a lot this week. This is just kind of the season of life that we're in right now. It's that kind of awkward, we're not really like deep into snow, but we're not really into spring yet either. We're just, every day kind of looks the same. Kurt goes up to work, he feeds the cows, I homeschool the kids, and life is just kind of very boring right now, which is a huge blessing to us. We kind of like having a slow period, but because of that, it's boring. There's not much to show. So anyways, thanks for following along, and we'll see you next week.